1. Introduction. My name is Anna. I never thought my life would change in just one evening, but it did. I was sitting at the big family dinner table. I watched my grandmother, Pauline, smile at everyone. She is always warm, always kind, and always full of energy. But this time, her smile looked a little different. When she held John's hand, I felt a strange feeling in the air. Then she spoke the words that changed everything for me. She is pregnant. I stopped moving. I could not speak. My spoon fell onto the table and everyone looked at me. Pauline waited for me to say something, but I could not. I thought it was a joke. I thought she was confused. I thought something impossible was happening. But Pauline was calm. She was happy. John held her hand like it was the most normal thing in the world. I sat there in total shock. The family started talking, but I only heard a lot of noise. I looked at my grandmother, and my heart beat very fast. I thought my life would never be the same again. It felt like my world was broken into many pieces. My grandmother, Pauline, is a sweet woman. She is strong. She has lived a long life. But now she was telling us something unbelievable. My parents looked very surprised. My aunt started asking many questions. The family had a mixed reaction. Some people looked happy, but most looked shocked, just like me. I tried to smile, but I could not. I felt a cold feeling inside my stomach. I could not understand how this was true. I looked at Pauline and John again. They looked so proud. I knew this was not a joke. This was real life. My grandmother was going to have a baby, and I felt very lost. I knew this was the start of a very strange time for our family. 2. A big surprise. The days after the dinner were very strange. My mind was full of noise. I thought about the news all the time. I tried to do normal things like schoolwork or watching television, but I could not focus. It felt like the world had changed, but only for me. The shock of the announcement stayed with me every morning when I woke up. When I looked at Pauline, she was not just my grandmother anymore. She was a woman who held a big secret. She was carrying a new life. This fact felt impossible to accept. I knew she was happy, but I felt very confused. I wanted to talk to her, to ask many questions, but the words did not come out. I was scared of what she would say. I was scared of the truth and what it meant for our family. She looked calm, but I felt restless. My parents were also very worried. They did not talk loudly about it. They whispered often. I often heard them talking in the kitchen or late at night, thinking I was asleep. They said Pauline was too old to have a baby. They said it was dangerous for her health and for the child. They worried about the risks of having a baby at her age. They worried about what the doctor would say when she went for her checkups. They worried that something was seriously wrong with the situation. I did not know who was right. I felt caught between my loving grandmother and my worried parents. Their fear made my own confusion much stronger. I felt lost and heavy. I thought about the future almost constantly. What would life be like with a newborn baby in the house? This baby would be my aunt or uncle, but also my grandmother's child. It was a strange thought that made my head hurt. I also worried deeply about other people. What would my friends say when they found out? What would the neighbors say when Pauline's stomach grew bigger and the news became obvious? People like to talk about things that are different. I imagined the strange looks and the whispers when we walked down the street as a family. I felt scared of this judgment and worried about how we would explain the situation to everyone. I wished we could keep the news a secret forever, but that was impossible. Every night, I stayed awake for a long time. I felt a storm inside me. I was angry, confused, and deeply worried about everything. I loved Pauline very much, but I wished she had not given us this big surprise. I needed to understand her choice, but right now, I only felt the shock of change. My heart was heavy, and I knew these confusing feelings would stay until I found a way to talk to her honestly. 3. We talk in the garden. One afternoon, I went to the garden. Pauline was already there. She was watering the flowers slowly. She looked very calm. She looked young, almost glowing in the warm sunlight. I walked closer to her. I needed to talk to her. I needed to ask her how she truly felt about the baby. I watched her for a moment. The sun was warm on my face. I finally spoke. "How do you feel, Pauline?" I asked her. My voice was very quiet. I was scared of her answer. I thought she would just smile and say, "I am fine, Anna." But she did not do that this time. Her smile went away quickly. Her eyes became soft and looked a little sad. She stopped watering the bright red roses. She put the watering can down on the grass. Then she looked at me for a long time. This look was new. It was not the strong look of the grandmother I always knew. She told me the truth. She said, "I am scared too, Anna." This surprised me very much. I never thought my grandmother could be scared. She was always the strongest person I knew in the world. She sat down on the small wooden bench near the big tree. I sat next to her. She said she never thought she would become a mother again. She thought that part of her life was finished many, many years ago. She told me she felt happy, very happy, about the new life that was growing inside her. But she also felt weak sometimes. She felt worried about her health. She worried about what other people, like my parents, were saying. This was the first time I saw Pauline this way. She was not just my strong, perfect grandmother anymore. She was a woman who had fears, a woman who still had dreams for her future, a woman who was feeling both weak and strong at the same time. I looked at her tired face and understood her true feelings. Something changed between us in the garden that afternoon. The confusion I felt started to go away slowly. The fear I had did not disappear completely, but it became much smaller. I suddenly felt a new feeling. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to help her. I felt closer to Pauline than I had ever felt before. She was not just family. She was my friend now. We sat quietly for a few minutes, just listening to the birds sing in the trees. I gently took her hand. It felt warm and soft in mine. I realized that life does not stop just because you are older. Life can still give you big, beautiful surprises. We talked about the baby's room and what color to paint the walls. We talked about names. The garden became a place of understanding. I started to accept this new, strange, and beautiful reality. 4. The hospital visit. One evening, everything changed again. It was late and quiet. Suddenly, my grandmother, Pauline, felt a very strong pain in her stomach. She was in the kitchen, and she almost fainted. She looked very pale. I saw the fear in her eyes. John moved fast. He called the emergency number right away. He spoke quickly to the person on the phone. I felt panic start inside me. I did not know what to do. John helped Pauline to sit down slowly. The ambulance arrived quickly. The lights flashed red and blue outside the house. Everything felt unreal and fast. I decided to ride with them. I sat in the front of the ambulance. Pauline and John were in the back. I held my hands tightly together and tried not to shake. I prayed quietly. I did not want anything bad to happen to Pauline or the baby. This moment was scarier than the dinner announcement. This was real danger. When we arrived at the hospital, the nurses took Pauline away quickly. John and I sat in the waiting room. It was cold and the chairs were hard. The clock on the wall moved very slowly. Every minute felt like an hour. I looked at John. He looked tired and his face showed his worry. I felt very alone, but then John spoke. His voice was soft but strong. "Anna," he said, "I know this is hard for you. I know many people think this is wrong." I looked at him. I could not speak, but I listened. "I love your grandmother more than anything," he continued. "She is my life. We know the risks, but we want this baby. This baby is a miracle for us." He paused and looked down at his hands. "We hear the whispers," he said. "We know people talk about us. They say we are too old, but their words do not matter. Only our love matters." When he spoke about their love, I felt something open in my heart. It was like a door opening. Before, I only saw the problem and the shock. Now, I saw the deep connection between them. I saw that they were fighting for something truly important to them. I realized that their decision was not about age. It was about pure love and hope. They were brave. I stopped feeling angry or confused. I started to understand them. John's love for Pauline was so clear and strong. It was the thing that kept them strong. I finally accepted the baby. I accepted their new life. I accepted the miracle that John talked about. Sitting in that cold hospital room, full of fear, I finally felt peace. I knew I needed to support them. I was no longer just a granddaughter in shock. I was a part of their new, strange family. I waited there, hoping for good news, feeling a new kind of calm inside me. I realized that love makes its own rules. 5. We prepare for the baby. After the hospital visit, Pauline had to rest much more. She stayed at home, and I went to see her almost every day. I wanted to help her with everything. I cooked simple meals for her, like soup and salad. I helped her walk slowly around the house when she needed to move. We spent many hours together just sitting and talking quietly about the future. I learned much about her hopes and her dreams for the baby. I never thought I would help my grandmother prepare for a new child. It was a very strange idea at first, but soon it felt completely normal. We started to get the baby's room ready for the arrival. We chose soft, light colors for the walls. We painted the nursery together, slowly and carefully. I held the paint brush, and Pauline sat near me, telling me what colors looked best. It was fun to work together like this. We also needed to find many things for the baby. We went through clothes and blankets. We looked at tiny little shirts and very small socks. Folding the little clothes made us laugh hard. We spent many hours together doing these simple things. During this time, we became a very strong team. I saw my grandmother in a new, happy way. She was excited, and her face looked bright and full of life. My own feelings changed completely during these months. Before, I only felt shock and worry about the news. Now, those feelings were gone. I felt great joy and deep excitement for the baby's arrival. I realized that this baby was already a big part of our family, and I truly wanted to celebrate this new life. I decided to plan a small party for Pauline. I called it a baby shower. I wanted the whole family to come and celebrate this new beginning. I decorated the room with great care. I used soft colors like yellow and green, and I put fresh flowers everywhere. When the family arrived, some still looked a little surprised by the situation. But they all smiled widely and hugged Pauline tightly. They celebrated the new baby with good wishes and warm laughter. I looked at Pauline's smiling face. She looked so proud and happy to be surrounded by her family. I felt proud of her too. We had come a long way from the shock of that first dinner. We were ready now for the baby to come home. My life was changing, but it was changing in a beautiful and unexpected way. 6. The baby is born. The day of the birth arrived quickly. I went to the hospital. I waited there again, but I felt different this time. My heart was full of hope. I did not feel worried like before. I sat with John and we waited for many hours. The hospital room was quiet. I thought about the last 9 months. It was a long time, full of surprises and new feelings. I remembered the first night when Pauline told us the big news. I remembered the garden talk and the hospital scare. Now, everything was ending but also starting. I looked at John. He was very nervous. He walked back and forth many times. I tried to stay calm for both of us. Suddenly, a nurse came out of the room. She was smiling. She told us the news. The baby was born. The baby was healthy. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. I wanted to cry happy tears. John quickly followed the nurse. I ran after him. I entered the room. Pauline was lying down. She looked very tired, but she had a beautiful, soft smile. In her arms, she held the baby. The baby was so small. It was wrapped in a white blanket. I walked closer and looked down. This was my grandmother's child. This was my new family member. Pauline looked at me. She moved the baby slightly and told me, "Come here, Anna." She gave the baby to me. I held the small body close to my chest. The baby felt so light and warm. I looked at the tiny face, the small nose, and the perfect hands. I felt a very warm feeling start inside me. I whispered a small word, "Hello." I was now an aunt, a young aunt to a baby who was also my grandmother's child. It was a strange situation, but it was also very beautiful. It was life, full of surprises and new beginnings. I stood there, holding the baby, and the world outside the hospital room did not matter. Only this moment mattered. I realized that my fear was gone. Only love and wonder remained. I smiled at Pauline and John. We were a family, and now we were a family of 4 generations. I held the baby for 5 minutes. Every second felt important. I thought about how much my feelings had changed from the first day until today. It was a long journey. I knew that life would be different now, but I felt ready for it. This small baby brought so much joy. I gave the baby back to Pauline, and she kissed the baby's head. It was the perfect ending to a very long day and the perfect beginning of a new life. 7. The baby comes home. The day we took the baby home was sunny and warm. We left the hospital in the afternoon. Pauline and John walked slowly and smiled at each other often. They were so careful when they put the baby into the car seat. Driving back to the house felt like driving to a completely new place. Everything outside looked the same, but I knew inside the house, everything was different now. We brought a new life with us, and our family was changed forever. When we arrived at the front door, the house felt new immediately. It was not the quiet house I knew before this day. Now, the house was full of small, gentle sounds all the time. I heard little, soft cries when the baby was hungry or needed a clean diaper. The cries were not loud, just soft requests. I heard John singing very quietly and softly to the baby late at night when the baby could not sleep. I heard Pauline's warm, happy laughter when the baby made a funny face or moved a tiny hand in the air. These new sounds were very welcome. They made the house feel full of energy, love, and beautiful life. I spent a lot of time in the living room just watching them. I sat on the large, soft couch and watched my grandmother. She held her newborn child close to her chest. She looked tired from the long days and sleepless nights, but her face was always glowing with happiness. She never stopped smiling at the baby. She looked at the child like it was the most important thing in the whole world. I thought about the first evening, many months ago, when she told us the big news during dinner. Life had surprised us all greatly, and now we lived this new life. I realized that this whole experience taught me a very big lesson recently. I learned that love does not wait for the right time or the perfect age. Love can come and grow at any age. Miracles can happen when you least expect them in your life. Family is not just about what is easy or what is normal for other people to see. Family is about growing together, supporting each other, and changing in strange and beautiful ways. I took a very deep breath and watched the baby sleep soundly in the new crib. The baby was very small, but this tiny person changed our world completely. I felt much older than I was before this event happened. I felt wiser about life and about how people choose to live their dreams. I felt thankful for this new, unexpected life that joined our family. I could not imagine my life without this tiny person now. My world had changed completely, but it was a good change. It was a beautiful beginning for our new, large family. I felt ready for whatever came next in our shared future. 8. My new family. This story is a very important part of my life now. My name is Anna, and I learned a big lesson. I learned that life does not follow a book of rules. We often think things must happen in a certain way. We think families must look the same way. But this is not true. My grandmother Pauline showed me this. She showed me that love can come at any time. Age is only a number. Love is strong, and it is the most important thing. I remember when I first heard the news. I felt shock and fear. That feeling is gone now. Now, I feel only peace and happiness. I understand that the world is much bigger than my first ideas. It has many paths for people to follow. The baby is now home with us. The house feels complete and warm every day. I look at Pauline and John, and I see true happiness in their eyes. They are a new family unit. I am a part of this new family too. I am the older cousin, but also the young aunt. This is funny, but it is also wonderful and special. We shared many hard times together during the pregnancy. We waited anxiously at the hospital during the scare. We helped paint the small room blue and yellow for the baby. We learned to be patient when the baby cried loudly late at night. All these small moments made us much stronger as a group. We survived the big surprise and the first feelings of fear. We grew closer as a group. This is what family truly means. It is about sharing everything that happens, the good moments and the bad moments. Family is about what we build and what we grow together over time. It is not about what is normal in the world. I often watch Pauline holding her small child. She sings a sweet, soft song to the baby. She sometimes looks tired, but her eyes are always bright and full of light. I think about my own future life. Before this, I was always scared of any big change. I wanted my life to stay exactly the same forever. Now, I know that change is a good thing. Change brings new people into our lives, and it brings new love. This little baby is a miracle for Pauline and John. This baby is also a great miracle for me. The baby changed my heart completely. I feel wiser and much more grown up now. I feel ready for whatever life decides to bring next. I know that my family is strong and can face anything. It is strange and beautiful, and it is completely mine. This new feeling is the best gift I received from this whole large surprise. I learned to accept the unexpected things in life. I learned to love in a new, deeper way that I did not know before. I know that my new family will always be there, full of important love and loud laughter.